Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and today I'm absolutely delighted to share this particular story with you. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel or don't already know this, I think it's worth repeating what I've said a number of times before. I think you, our particular YouTube community, is just exceptional. You guys, once again, a non-gender specific term of endearment, are knowledgeable, you're curious, you're passionate, you're generous with your time spent not only watching but commenting in the comment section below. Occasionally some of you are very funny. And often you guys are just kind and supportive of our work, not only in words, but in the financial support you give us by using our affiliate links and donating directly via PayPal. So truly, it is a joy and privilege to be building this channel with you. Okay, so here's the story. We recently did a review of Zacuto's GH5 Cage, and shortly thereafter I got an email from 3BME viewer Gregory Gillaspie telling me about a GH5 cage configuration he'd co-designed with smallRig. He thought it might address some of the items on the wish list I'd identified in that review and offered to put me in touch with smallRig directly. I'll put in a link in the show more and here, a link so you can look at it yourself. Now, many of you may not know smallRig. I didn't know them before Gregory's email, other than having bought a nice set of keenly priced carbon fiber 15mm rods one time, and sometime after that a cage for the Ninja Assassin. But my experience had been positive, so I said, yeah, sure, I'd take a look, which leads me to a slight, but I think useful digression. And that is, well, I can't tell you how often I see articles with titles or subjects extolling the power of saying no. And fair enough, there is virtue in recognizing the finite nature of one's resources and choosing wisely. Cue up Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. In fact, it's why I've increasingly said no thank you to requests to review gear, cover stories, or take on shoots. But the power of yes is much, much more interesting and fun when it works. So back to the story. After half a dozen emails with Gregory and then Ivan and Chan from smallRig, in which I specified precisely what I was trying to accomplish with what kit, and they sent back a couple of photos and asked a couple of questions, a package arrived containing what at first blush looked like, I'll just say it, a daunting number of small bags, each containing smaller pieces. Think a Lego or Erector set. And you can probably guess what I was thinking, which is some variation of, geez, you get what you pay for. I'm going to have to spend hours putting this together, no instructions, I just should have said no. But less than 10 minutes later, maybe no more than 5 now that I think about it, I was looking at this, which is just great. The machined parts are well made and fit together to very tight tolerances. The assembled cage is not as robust nor silky smooth as the Zacuto, but it's well done. Definitely a significantly higher level than stuff, say, from Neewer, and I'm impressed. In fact, this configuration comes closer than any other cage I've seen, though, to be more precise, this setup is based on a half cage to what I want given my particular workflow, though, as always, your mileage may vary. Now, what I want is to, 1, mount a GH5 with XLR adapter, a 7-inch Atomos or Blackmagic 4K recorder monitor, and a pair of RodeLink Filmmaker receivers into a single unit. 2, place the GH5 in the cage without having to remove my Peak Design anchors or otherwise screw it in to anything more than a tripod socket. 3, remove the GH5 without having to take it off the tripod and partially disassemble the rig first. Now, I have to say that my original vision was an Arca Swiss QR plate inside the cage, but smallRig came up with the idea of designing the cage to take the GH5 with battery grip. This is pretty darn clever because not only do you now have the ability to hot swap batteries without going to larger and more expensive Cine batteries, you have the ability to detach the GH5 body and lens from the cage by unscrewing it from the grip. The smallRig setup allows just enough headroom so that you can detach the camera from the grip and lift it out, though you do have to first remove the XLR mic adapters. Not quite as awesome as an Arca Swiss plate alone. Next, quickly set up and take down the full cage for travel. Then, comfortably and quickly access the right-hand controls on the GH5 while in the cage, then retain the option of going handheld while keeping the GH5 inside the rig, and finally, balancing all of this without creating an assembly too top-heavy or side-heavy so that I wouldn't be putting undue stress on any of the components, including my arms and back. It does that. Now, I do have two concerns and one quibble, which will only be alleviated with time and experience. They are, 1, whether or not the screws loosen. 2, whether or not the top plate starts to bend at the joint from metal fatigue. And 3, the quibble, I wish the left-hand grip could rotate as on a rosette, though as I'm saying this, I remember there's a rosette mount somewhere in their catalog. And to be fair, I have no reason to believe that either the screws will come loose or that the metal will fatigue, other than the fact that the SmallRig, as I mentioned earlier, is not as robust as the Zacuto cage. A piece of kit, by the way, where the thought of metal fatigue or screws coming loose, I think they probably use Loctite or something like that, never entered my head. But then again, the SmallRig setup doesn't cost nearly as much and has some features that the more expensive unit does not. I'll put in the list of components for each system in the Show More section below, but when it comes right down to it, we're talking literally half the price for the SmallRig, about $370 in all, compared to just over $740 for the kitted out Zacuto, which may or may not matter to you. The thing is, in the end, I feel very comfortable recommending either one, depending on your needs and resources. Look, if you're shooting week in, week out, and can afford the peace of mind that the Zacuto setup will surely give you, I'd recommend the Zacuto. Not least of which is because I suspect that if this were in fact the case, you'd not have the same need or desire I do to remove and manipulate the camera to shoot behind-the-scenes footage and stills. On the other hand, if you're less likely to stress the rig weekly and are very much a true hybrid shooter like myself, with, shall we say, a budgetary and artistic reach which continually exceeds your grasp, you may find the SmallRig more compelling, as do I. And it has to be said that I haven't experienced an easier, quicker, direct, more fruitful communication with the company in a very long time. So, Gregory, Ivan, Chan, thank you. Now, an idea for you. If you could create an online configurator in which a person inputs his or her gear and it outputs a recommended setup with rotatable 3D imagery and a parts list, I think you'd have pure gold. But what do I know? The thing is, now I want to try to make the setup even more compact, now that I see what I can do with this, and place the weight of the monitor and audio more in line with the camera's optical center and center of gravity. This involves two basic enhancements, which I'll be covering in upcoming videos, so hold that thought. Okay, I'll say a little bit about it right now. First, I'm going to try to reduce the size of the audio componentry by either A, switching to a pair of Sennheiser AVX wireless systems going straight into the XLR mic adapter, or B, moving to Sony's dual-channel URX P0 3D and eliminating the need for the XLR mic adapter altogether, along with the need for a second receiver. Second, I'm going to see whether or not I could be happy with the 5-inch monitor-only, not as bright small HD focus. So again, hold that thought. Though I will say, man oh man, on first blush, this AVX setup is killer, but not cheap. Anyway, if you like what you've seen here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, join the conversation below, share, add to a playlist, consider supporting our work by using our no-cost-to-you affiliate links, or even making a contribution directly via the PayPal link below. We thank you for it. For 3 Blind Men and an Elephant, I'm Hugh Brownstone. See you next time.